Lilith/LL Beta/Lilith, Hebrew, Romanized. Lilith is a female figure in Mesopotamian and Judaic mythology, alternatively the first wife of Adam I and supposedly the primordial she-demon. Lilith is cited as having been banished from the Garden of Eden for not complying with and obeying Adam II. She is got to be mentioned in biblical Hebrew in the book of Isaiah 3 and in late antiquity in Mandaean mythology and Jewish mythology sources from 500 CE onward. Lilith appears in historiales, incantations incorporating a short mythic story, in various concepts and localities that give partial descriptions of her. She is mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud, Eruvin 100b, Niddah 24b, Shabbat 151b, Baba Bathra 73a, in the Book of Adam and Eve as Adam's first wife, and in the Zohar Leviticus 19 as a hot fiery female who first cohabited with man. 5 Many traditional rabbinic authorities, including Maimonides and Menachem Myrai, reject the existence of Lilith. The name Lilith stems from Lilu, Lilichu, and Wart Lily. The Akkadian word Lilu is related to the Hebrew word Lilith in Isaiah 34:14, which is got to be a night bird by some modern scholars such as Judith M. Blair. 7 In the ancient Mesopotamian religion, found in cuneiform texts of Sumer, Assyria, and Babylonia, Lilith signifies a spirit or demon. 189. Lilith continues to serve as source material in today's popular culture, Western culture, literature, occultism, fantasy, and horror. In some Jewish folklore, such as the satirical alphabet of Sirach c. 700 to 1000 AD, Lilith appears as Adam's first wife who was created at the same time and from the same clay as Adam. The legend of Lilith developed extensively during the Middle Ages in the tradition of Agadah of the Zohar and Jewish mysticism. 12 For example, in the 13th century writings of Isaac ben Jacob Hal-Cohen, Lilith left Adam after she refused to become subservient to him and then would not return to the Garden of Eden after she had coupled with the archangel Samael. 13. Interpretations of Lilith found in later Jewish materials are plentiful, but little information has survived relating to the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian and Babylonian view of this class of demons. While researchers almost universally agree that a connection exists, recent scholarship has disputed the relevance of 2 sources previously used to connect the Jewish Lilith to an Akkadian Lilichu, the Gilgamesh Appendix, and the Arslan Tash amulets. 14 See below for discussion of these 2 problematic sources. In contrast, some scholars such as Lowell K. Handy hold the view that though Lilith derives from Mesopotamian demonology, evidence of the Hebrew Lilith being present in the sources frequently cited, the Sumerian Gilgamesh fragment and the Sumerian incantation from Arslan Tash being too is scant, if present at all. 13, 174. In Hebrew language texts, the term Lilith or Lilith translated as night creatures, night monster, night hag, or screech owl first occurs in a list of animals in Isaiah 34:15. The Isaiah 34:1-4 Lilith reference does not appear in most common Bible translations such as KJV and NIV. Commentators and interpreters often envision the figure of Lilith as a dangerous demon of the night, who is sexually wanton, and who steals babies in the darkness. In the Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q 510-511, the term first occurs in a list of monsters. Jewish magical inscriptions on bowls and amulets from the 6th century AD onward identify Lilith as a female demon and provide the first visual depictions of her. In the Akkadian language of Assyria and Babylonia, the terms Lili and Lilichu mean spirits. Some uses of Lilichu are listed in the Assyrian Dictionary of the Oriental Institute of the University of Chicago CAD 1956 L 190 and Wolfram von Soden's Akkadisches Handwörterbuch, AWP 553, and Real Lexicon der Assyriologie, Arla P 4716. The Sumerian female demons Lili have no etymological relation to Akkadian Lilu, Evening 17. Archibald Sayce 1882-18 page needed consider that Hebrew Lilith, or Lilith, and the earlier Akkadian Lilichu are derived from Proto-Semitic. Charles Fossey 1902 has this literally translating to female night being/demon, although cuneiform inscriptions from Mesopotamia exist where Lilith and Lilichu refers to disease-bearing wind spirits. Samuel Noah Kramer 1932, published 1938 20 translated Ki Sikil Lil La K as Lilith in Tablet Z of the Epic of Gilgamesh dated circa 600 BC. Tablet Z is not part of the Epic of Gilgamesh, but is a later Assyrian Akkadian translation of the latter part of the Sumerian Epic of Gilgamesh. 21 The Ki Sikil Lil La K is associated with a serpent and a zoo bird being Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the netherworld. A Hualapu tree grows in Inanna's garden in Uruk, whose wood she plans to use to build a new throne. After 10 years of growth, she comes to harvest it and finds a serpent living at its base. a zoo bird raising young in its crown, and that a Ki-Sikil Lil La-K made a house in its trunk. Gilgamesh is said to have killed the snake, and then the zoo bird flew away to the mountains with its young, while the Ki-Sikil Lil La-K fearfully destroys its house and runs for the forest. 2223 Identification of the Ki-Sikil Lil La-K as Lilith is stated in the Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible 1999-24. According to a news source from late antiquity, Lilith appears in a Mandaean magic story where she is considered to represent the branches of a tree with other demonic figures that form other parts of the tree, though this may also include multiple Liliths. 25. Suggested translations for the tablet Z spirit in the tree include Ki-Sikil as sacred place, Lil as spirit, and Lil La-K as water spirit. 26, but also simply owl, given that the Lil is building a home in the trunk of the tree. 27. A connection between the Gilgamesh Ki-Sikil Lil La-K and the Jewish Lilith was rejected on textual grounds by Sergio Ribachini 1978. Kramer's translation of the Gilgamesh fragment was used by Henri Frankfurt 1937-29 and Emil Kraling 1937 to support identification of a woman with wings and bird feet in the disputed Burney relief as related to Lilith. Frankfurt and Kraling identified the figure in the relief with Lilith. 30. Modern research has identified the figure as one of the main goddesses of the Mesopotamian pantheons, most probably Ereshkigal. The Arslan Tash amulets are limestone plaques discovered in 1933 at Arslan Tash, the authenticity of which is disputed. William F. Albright, Theodore H. Gaster 32 and others accepted the amulets as a pre-Jewish source, which shows that the name Lilith already existed in the 7th century BC, but Torksoner 1947 identified the amulets as a later Jewish source. The word Lilith, or Lilith, only appears once in the Hebrew Bible in a prophecy regarding the fate of Edom 3, while the other 7 terms in the list appear more than once and thus are better documented. The reading of scholars and translators is often guided by a decision about the complete list of 8 creatures as a whole. 34. See quoting from Isaiah 34 Nab. 12. Her nobles shall be no more, nor shall kings be proclaimed there, all her princes are gone. 13. Her castle shall be overgrown with thorns, her fortresses with thistles and briars. She shall become an abode for jackals and a haunt for ostriches. 14. Wildcat shall meet with desert beasts, satyrs shall call to one another, there shall the Lilith repose, and find for herself a place to rest. 15. There the hoot owl shall nest and lay eggs, hatch them out and gather them in her shadow, there shall the kites assemble, none shall be missing its mate. 16. Look in the book of the Lord and read, no one of these shall be lacking, for the mouth of the Lord has ordered it, and his spirit shall gather them there. 17. It is he who casts the lot for them, and with his hands he marks off their shares of her. They shall possess her forever and dwell there from generation to generation. The Septuagint translates both the reference to Lilith and the word for jackals or wild beasts of the island within the same verse into Greek as onokonpiros, apparently assuming them as referring to the same creatures and omitting wildcat/wild beasts of the desert, so, instead of the wildcats or desert beasts meeting with the jackals or island beasts, the goat or satyr crying to his fellow, and Lilith or screech owl resting there, it is the goat or satyr translated as daemonia demons, and the jackals or island beasts onocentaurs meeting with each other and crying one to the other, and the latter resting there in the translation. The early 5th century Vulgate translated the same word as lamia 4041. Et a current demonia onocentauris et pilosus clamabit alter ad alterum ibi cubavit lamia et invenit sibi requiem. Isaiah's Propheta 34.14 Vulgate. The translation is, and demons shall meet with monsters, and one hairy one shall cry out to another, there the Lamia has lain down and found rest for herself. In Mandaean scriptures such as the Ginza Rabbah and Kalasta, Lilith's classical Mandaic, are mentioned as inhabitants of the world of darkness. The occult writer Ahmad al-Bunni died 1225 in his Son of the Great Knowledge Arabic, mentions a demon called the Mother of Children, a term also used in one place. 87 folkloric traditions recorded around 1953 tell about a jinn called Karina, who was rejected by Adam and mated with Iblis instead. She gave birth to a host of demons and became known as their mother. To take revenge on Adam, she pursues human children. As such, she would kill a pregnant mother's baby in the womb, causes impotence to men, or attacks little children with illnesses. According to occult practices, she would be subject to the demon king Maral el-Abiad, which appears to be another name for Iblis used in magical writings. Stories about Karina and Lilith merged in early Islam. The depiction of Lilith in Romanticism continues to be popular among Wiccans and in other modern occultism. 89 A few magical orders dedicated to the undercurrent of Lilith, featuring initiations specifically related to the arcana of the First Mother, exist. Two organizations that use initiations and magic associated with Lilith are the Ordo Antichristianis Illuminati and the Order of Phosphorus. Lilith appears as a succubus in Aleister Crowley's De Arte Magica. Lilith was also one of the middle names of Crowley's first child Muiminger Hecate Sappho Jezebel Lilith Crowley 1904–1906, and Lilith is sometimes identified with Babylon in Thelemic writings. Many early occult writers that contributed to modern-day Wicca expressed special reverence for Lilith. Charles Leland associated Aradia with Lilith. Aradia, says Leland, is Herodias, who was regarded in Styria folklore as being associated with Diana as chief of the witches. Leland further notes that Herodias is a name that comes from West Asia, where it denoted an early form of Lilith. 94–95. Gerald Gardner asserted that there was continuous historical worship of Lilith to present day, and that her name is sometimes given to the goddess being personified in the coven by the priestess. This idea was further attested by Doreen Valiente, who cited her as a presiding goddess of the craft, personification of erotic dreams, the suppressed desire for delights. 96 In some contemporary concepts, Lilith is viewed as the embodiment of the goddess, a designation that has got to be shared with what these faiths believe to be her counterparts in Anathishtar, Ashera, Anad-Nahida, and Isis. 97 According to one view, Lilith was originally a Sumerian, Babylonian, or Hebrew mother goddess of childbirth, children, women, and sexuality. 98–99. Raymond Buckland holds that Lilith is a dark moon goddess on par with the Hindu Kali. 100 Page needed. Many theistic Satanists consider Lilith as a goddess. She is considered a goddess of independence by those Satanists, and is often worshipped by women, but women are not the only people who worship her. Lilith is popular among theistic Satanists because of her association with Satan. Some Satanists believe that she is the wife of Satan, and thus think of her as a mother figure. Others base their reverence for her on her history as a succubus and praise her as a sex goddess. 101 A different approach to a satanic Lilith holds that she was once a fertility and agricultural goddess. 102. The Western mystery tradition associates Lilith with the Qliphoth of Kabbalah. Samael Aun Weir in the Pistis Sophia Unveiled writes that homosexuals are the henchmen of Lilith. Likewise, women who undergo willful abortion, and those who support this practice are seen in the sphere of Lilith. 103 Dion Fortune writes, the Virgin Mary is reflected in Lilith. 104 And that Lilith is the source of lustful dreams.